Recording in progress. Welcome to the Lucky and Ducky podcast.
Where apples keep everyone away if you throw them hard enough.
You forgot how that went when you went to say it, didn't you?
Yep, but it's fine. All right, today's podcast um is character building and virtues um being taught in schools. This is a bit more of a serious topic than the last couple that we've done. Do you have anything to say about it right off the bat, Ducky?
Um, Let me think right off the bat. I don't think I have anything specific for right off the bat.
Okay. So the it's
Helpful, I
fine.
know.
Um,
Very helpful, I can.
let's go with let's define our terms. These are a little bit further down the list because of the way we did it, but I'm gonna say let's define our terms first. So character. What does it mean to have a character? What is a character? Um, Yada yada yada. You know what I mean?
What is character, not a character?
Yes. Yeah, what is character? And well, let's just answer that first. What is character? I would say character is your personality, your who you are, what makes up you, your characteristics. If that's not circular. um, but it's you, your character is you. And so by building your character, it's making you a better character, it's making you a better person. Would you like to add or give your thoughts?
Um, I would say, I mean, I told you about this quote yesterday, but character is habit long continued. Um, so that's the part of character that is what you're known for. The part of character that's more like your reputation. Um, but I don't think that your reputation is only character.
Yeah.
Or no, I said that wrong. I don't think character is only reputation.
Character is not only reputation. Okay,
Yes.
I agree with that. I do. I agree with that. Um, how does that quote go? That was a good quote.
Character is habit long continued. And
Char-
that's by the Greek philosopher. Greek? Yeah, I think it was Greek philosopher Plutarch.
Um,
Not Pluto. He's friends with Mickey and Goofy.
I don't believe we're talking about the yellow dog. Um, the okay, so that's character. You think that's a good definition?
Um,
Basically it makes up who you are, and
well, I think who you are makes your character.
yeah. Who you are makes you. I will, yeah,
But
100%.
um, you might need to help me remember how I said this yesterday, but I was kind of, as we were discussing how we were going to go about this topic, which was by request for anybody watching. Um, I was saying I think character is kind of like there's two branches of it, which is one is like we just talked about, like what you're known for and how people know you and that part. The other part of character leans more towards virtue, but I wouldn't say is virtue itself. It's still part of character. Um, and that's the what was it? How did I put it? There was a good way I said it yesterday.
I'm
I think
sorry.
you had to.
I was dealing with a carpenter bee. Catch me up real fast. Sorry.
um, I was trying to remember how I said it yesterday when I was talking about the two branches of character.
Oh, how, oh gosh. It was good. How,
You have the notes, not me, so
I
I'm
don't,
flying by memory and flying blind on this.
um, I don't know.
I was saying how it leaned more towards virtue. Um,
We were talking about how, I don't know. I don't know what you're getting at. I know, I don't know.
you know that you don't know.
Basically what you were trying to say is there are two different kinds of character. The character that makes up you, and then the character that you make up. Um, so like one of
Kind
them,
of
the character that you make up is like can be your reputation, what you leave behind to people. But your actual character, um, that makes up you is
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 the
like your,
standards and
yeah,
what you hold yourself up to.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, like the fact that you the fact that you are willing to use self-discipline and um do hard things and make hard decisions and um
the things that make people say he has good character or she has good character, right?
yes.
Right.
All right, so now virtue. Um what is virtue?
Virtue, I would say,
That
is similar to the last point, but not exactly, because virtue would be your reason for that. Does that make sense? Like
uh-huh.
your character is, oh, I know the analogy I used was your character is that you show up on time, but the virtue part of that is that you show up on time because other people are relying on you and you feel you need to be there for them. It's what you it's like your reason behind it. So virtue is more based on what you believe, like honesty, integrity, respect, courage. I wrote it down. Let me find my notebook.
I have a thing I wish I could find.
Did I say humility and patience were the other two? But like um that is what I would say. Like they say patience is a virtue where um but because you believe patience is important, that's why people think you're a patient person. So saying he's a patient person, that's talking about your character, but because you believe patience is important, instead of just doing things for having respect for people, not just because they earned it, but giving people respect without them needing, without in your mind them having to deserve it, just giving respect. Um, that is part of virtue.
Yeah, yeah, virtue is,
Tracking and agreeing with me so far?
yeah,
Or is it disagree?
virtue is are good qualities in your character that are learned through experiences and leadership. Do you agree with that?
Would you say the leadership is a virtue though?
Well, yes, but yeah,
Okay, I was just curious because that was one I didn't really think about. Um,
yeah, I would say leadership is a virtue.
but to go with is leadership a virtue? I would not say that it is. You don't have to always lead though, but
Yeah, no, in fact,
the
I think
ability
that it
to
is.
lead.
Yeah,
Everyone needs to follow and
I
lead in the right time and at the right
I
moment.
I even think that it's good for a leader to be able to and step down occasionally and let somebody else take the reins and let somebody else lead for a minute. Um, so that not only it can help humble them, it can like just to keep you humble, but um so everyone can learn something. And if you're always the leader and you're always teaching, you are learning, but it's different, you know?
Hmm.
I think that that comes along with being a good leader is being able to step back and follow, and not just lead.
Do you think all the virtues we said right now and kind of listed off a few, you said you've got a few more. Um, do you think all of them are always good? Or is there a way they can be out of place?
Okay, so I think that going with that, it's you're asking the question is
Is it
like
possible for a virtue to be,
bad.
I'm going to quote bad or out of line or out of place?
Um, I'm gonna go with no. Generally, a virtue is something that's good in a person's qualities. Um, and I wouldn't say I wouldn't say that like for if you were to commit a crime, you're virtuously committing a crime. That would fall into sin, and sin is definitely not virtuous. Um, so I would go with no. So virtues are good.
So you don't think there could be justice, let's go with justice, for example, or respect that, or
Well, okay, what do you mean by respect? Because I feel like that's like
or
that
do you
is,
think respect is part of character and not virtue?
and I think that justice, the side of justice is if it is true justice and for the justice legal system, if you commit a crime, it is just for the U.S. government to bring you up on charges, and you'd have to ultimately pay jail time or worse, pay fines and consequences. Um, so that's what I have to say about justice. And if you're saying justice as in, oh, he killed my friend, therefore I killed him, I got justice. There's a fine line between justice and revenge is wrong, and justice is right.
So you're saying, I'm trying to come at this objectively. That way we have a baseline without bias on this. Um, so we said that virtue can't be in the wrong. So whenever that line would be considered to be crossed, it is no longer virtue, but changes into um, something else entirely. It goes in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
All right. You think we covered our bases on that?
Yeah, definitions pretty well, and we need to. I don't know how much time we have left,
I
but
need to keep this moving, yeah.
yeah. Okay, so I wrote down we think that virtue. So going back to going back to the school side of things, we said we think that virtue should be taught at home by um but oh sorry I read that wrong. That it should be taught at home, but by the parents, but the definition of virtue should be taught in school. So basically, what that means is schools should teach what virtue is. They should make it well known to children, to students, that what virtue is, so that um when they are home, they have a basic understanding, and it's the parents' job to be teaching their children virtues. But in school, it is the it is should be more focused on character building than and schools teaching about good character than trying to make sure everyone has value. I mean virtues. Sorry, virtues.
And that would be because everyone's going to believe different things. Every like you and your neighbor, and then even you and the neighbor down the road don't all agree on the same things politically, religiously, in like any category. There's pretty much no one you're going to agree with everything on. Um, I mean, I could be wrong, but to my understanding, you're not going to find anyone you agree completely with everything they say. Um, and you might be disagreeing with me on that. So, but that would be because whatever you believe, that virtue and what you believe are, I think, kind of connected because there's some that most people will acknowledge as a virtue, and some, like, let's say, justice. Maybe you say justice is a virtue, maybe I don't, for example. Or what was one of the ones we said that may not be accepted by everybody?
For a
Uh,
virtue,
yeah, like maybe someone says initiative is, and someone says it's not. Um, that comes down to whatever you believe, like your religion, your opinion on politics. So the schools shouldn't be teaching that part because then it kind of becomes more of an agenda. Does that make more sense?
yeah.
Where teaching them what they should believe, where whatever they believe to be right and wrong, that should be taught at home, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But then
but
going
the
as your
schools
character.
should be able to, they should be teaching like how to understand the differences, maybe.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
the way the my school does it is um they teach you about other religions, okay? On that specifically. Um and so they teach you about all these other Hinduism, Buddhism, um and then even like different denominations within Christianity and I mean all of them. There's a lot and I won't get into all that. But basically that's how we think that the school system should be is they should teach you about these things, give you the knowledge so that you can use logic and reasoning to find truth and um be virtuous in the truth and with the truth and the knowledge that comes with that. Does that make sense? You there?
Yes. Um, I think we covered that. Is there another point
Um,
that we need to cover within that, or you think we
I
kind of
have I have
do we need to go over what kind of character or what kind of virtue more? I feel like this is such a deep topic that we're
yeah,
only scratching the surface, but we're trying to kind of be broad on it.
yeah, yeah.
It's hard to get specific enough, but also broad enough, and
So
all
so what
also
I'm
hard
gonna
because
ask or
yeah,
what I'm gonna tell the audience is if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments and we'll do our best to answer them there.
yeah.
Um,
I
yeah.
mean, everything you're saying may not make sense because you and I will say something very similar, and it makes sense to me and you, but may not make sense to everybody else. Um,
So I
almost,
I have I have written down that we talked a little bit about yesterday. That schools focus on grades and numbers and um and not character and spiritual growth. So I'll start with that. Um, Basically the way that, I mean, this is public knowledge. The way that the schools make money and the way that it really started with Bush, Bush Jr. Um, he made it to where it was his wife and she was a teacher. And they were trying to make schools to where every single person could get a at least high school degree. And so they made what
I don't know what I accidentally just did. So, oops. What did I
I like
just do?
I don't know. I'll let you figure that out. I'll finish my thought. Um, she wanted it to be, and Bush wanted it to be where everyone could, um, any person that went to school could at least get a high school degree. And with that, we started making it to where it was numbers and numbers and charts and grades. And if you didn't make it enough, if your grades weren't good enough, then you ultimately had to be held back, but they didn't want to hold anybody back, so they lowered the grades so much to where you just had to pass the test. Just pass the test and you would do fine. Um, and so we've led to the society today, multiple years later, where we have, if you pass the test, then you um then you graduate. You might not have learned anything, and um just because you learned enough to pass the test doesn't mean that you have the knowledge and the wisdom to be a good character or to have a good character. But if schools were to focus more on building the next generation that to care about the government and the society that we live in today, um, we would be in a much different place.
I remember listening to a podcast. I don't remember who it was, who the interviewer was, but he was interviewing a guy who had been on Iwo Jima. He was the last surviving flamethrower on I think it was Iwo Jima. I could be wrong. This was a while ago. But he was talking about when he grew up, and he's like, yeah, in schools we had patriotism. It's like they taught us it. Um, but it wasn't even like we're talking about like what you should believe in or anything, but it was like you and I just said, school should teach character, but not what to believe, um, or force people to agree with certain things. Um, but he was talking about, he's like, yeah, but we all wanted to be patriotic. So they weren't teaching us anything we didn't want. And it was the kind of thing they were already getting taught at home too. So there's also a little bit, actually not a little bit, there's a lot of difference between when the schools are just run or compared to when parents are active in the schools and not engaged. What's the word?
I mean, yeah, engaged with the students or
Yeah,
engaged
'cause
with the kid.
the parents are part of the process of educating their kids instead of handing that job over to someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, never mind.
How much time do we have? I feel
I do
like-
not know. More than 10 minutes. I know that. It hasn't given me the minute mark, the 10-minute mark. Um,
That's surprising.
but
I feel like we talked about a lot.
yeah, we have. So what do you think that there could be questions on? Um, so here's a question I have for you. Do you think that virtue can be taught quickly, or do you think that it needs to be taught over time and gained over time?
All right. Here's where I'm gonna pull out my um, hillbilly dictionary on this one. So it can be taught, but it can't be learned.
All right, there you go. All
Now,
right.
now I'm gonna pull out the hillbilly word for you. So learned, like my dad always says, it's like I'm gonna learn you. So he would show me something in a way until I completely understood it.
Yeah, I'm gonna learn you
And
some.
kind of like the military has they call it subject matter expert, where he wouldn't teach it until I was a subject matter expert on it, but until I completely understood it and could do it myself easily. Like driving nails with a hammer, where I don't always drive the nail straight, but I know what I did wrong and I can fix it. I know how to build lots of things because he's taught me over time. Um, but I learned over time. He's taught me how to do it in detail once or a couple of times probably because we've done it a lot as I was growing up. Um, like same thing with going over like changing tires on a car. You get taught it once, but you get better at it
All right, there's the 10-minute mark.
doing it over and over. Okay, I see it. Yeah. But you get better at it by doing it over and over. So you can teach virtue quickly, but you can't learn it quickly. So if you want to learn somebody good, then you're going to have to be a part of how they do a lot of things and kind of reinforcing by example. I think virtue is very important to be taught by example
Yeah.
and also learned by um you trying to live in a virtuous way. Um
Yeah,
where
that's a huge thing about
well
is
not just
trying.
by observing other people, but by you trying to do it too. So experience in both ways. Do you agree with that?
Yeah,
Or is
yeah.
there or is there a point you would like to make along those lines or against? Because that's about I think that's my main description on that.
No, I mean I would agree with everything that you said. Um, I would say that I would add that just a little bit. It's nothing against you. Um, that going back to that, it's you that needs to try to be live a virtuous life. Um, there's a lot of people who take the easy way out because it is, as I said, easy. Um, and I fall into that as well. I assume you do. Where if you just
Everybody
pick,
does.
yeah, if you just pick the easiest route, um, because it's easy, but sometimes you need to. Our bodies here are temporary. You need to spend the extra time to gain the knowledge and wisdom that is appropriate for you to learn, and gain.
That's actually I like how you said appropriate for you to learn because not everything is helpful to learn.
Yeah.
So not everything's helpful. Um, there's a book, I forget which one by C.S. Lewis, but there's multiple times in the book that he's describing different things using different analogies to explain deep topics. And he goes, and he'll say, and if this analogy doesn't help you, drop it. Just keep reading. Don't worry about it. He's like, if it does, keep it in the back of your mind, use it, and keep moving forward. That's my synopsis, ducky version of it, of whatever the exact quote is.
Um, the I don't know what else to say. I mean, I can say this again. Once again, if you have, we said this in the last two, but if you have any requests on podcasts for us to do, I don't know if you can hear that machine. I'm sorry if you can. Um, but if you have any requests, let us know in the comments. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, doesn't matter. Um, leave them down in the comments. We will answer them or address them to the best of our ability. Um,
And thank you to anybody who does leave comments, feedbacks, likes, subscribes. Um, yeah.
yeah, yeah, and thank you to the person who requested this podcast today. Um, hope that we answered some of your questions.
I feel
Pick
like we
up.
went into so much more yesterday, but I can't remember most of it.
Yeah. Um,
So we just said more concisely here.
yeah, I think that's it. Yesterday we were kind of rambling, trying to figure out what we were going to talk about, and today we said it like you said more precisely. Um, I will say this, going back to the schools being about you learning character in school. Um, it's not necessarily them trying to teach you how to have good character, but them teaching you specific subjects so that you learn to be a good person. You learn to be a benefit to society. Um, that you learn to build your character so that it's not just checking boxes, it's preparing you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that should be the goal while you're in school. School should, the aim of it should be to be able to practice for the rest of your life and try and get certain skills down and mastered.
Before you have,
Maybe before you need it. Yeah. It's
yeah,
also a
which
safe space to practice those kinds of things. Oh, okay, maybe not very safe, but a safer space than if you show up to your job late, you get fired. So if you practice like showing up to school on time, working on all your homework, getting it done, that's why companies will look for good students because it shows they have that commitment.
and
Not because
even
they're smarter than everybody else, but if you have the character for it, they can teach you a skill, whatever the skill is.
and I would say that um we live in a fallen world. Everything has flaws. Um, homeschooling has flaws. Public school has flaws. Private school has flaws. Um, and inside of those flaws, you can find truth, um, beauty, and goodness, as a quote of some book. Um, but you can find the truth, beauty, and goodness of inside of even fallen things. So take, are you muted on purpose? Um, so
It was just in case there's any background noise.
um, so you can take that and I lost my train of thought. You can take that and use it to the best of your ability, and you can be a good person even in a fallen and non-perfect world.
Yeah, I think we've covered everything for this topic actually. Within our time limit, we still got exactly 2 minutes to go.
Yep.
I think we should go ahead and stop it there. Otherwise, we'll end up taking 3 minutes.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, as we said, thank you to everyone that does all of the techie things. Um, we appreciate you for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.